I'm Dan Drake. This is Front Up on Geno TV and Channel 99. We have back with us today a sort of a phantom, Tobias Glidden. Tobias, welcome.
Nice to see you, Dan.
You've dropped out of the political arena for the moment, at least, and
for the moment. But I'm always, I'm still very engaged.
What are you up to?
Keeping an eye on. So, since I, didn't succeed in running for state representative, I've been, kind of really reassessing, kind of the family business and all the stuff we have as a family. So I've been very involved in kind of keeping the fish market running and making the scallopers happy. And
you still have the shanty down on whatever that little street is?
Yeah, so we just, kind of going through a process of, making sure everything, I deal with rot. I deal with rot a lot, as all Nantucketers do.
A combination of dealing with rot and also making sure it all makes sense.
Yeah, and so this year what we ended up doing is we moved the scallop shanty to the fish market. And so it's right in the back, so when you walk in there, bam, there's your scallops. So we're, really the only market on island where you can go in and you can buy your scallops and see them being shucked at the same time. So that's really nice, and there's a lot of efficiencies because of that. And so with that, we're in the process of kind of, redeveloping down at the scallop shanty, kind of turn it into something related to renewable energy, but I'm not kind of ready to come out and talk about it yet, but you have to get me back on to talk more about it.
All right. But you're not selling it?
No. We never sell. Okay. We never sell. So we, that building, the shanty, the back part of it is storage. And so that really enables, earlier you were talking about, downtown, that really enables, Stubby's, Walter's, and the coffee shop to function, because otherwise those buildings don't have storage. And so that's something that's always been, really important for our family is that, we like downtown, and we want there to be a place where high schoolers can go grab a burger, if they need to, and that's great.
So they make use of that backspace, and will continue to.
Exactly. So, but in addition to that, I've been working a lot. I'm a partner in a solar company called Axmart Solar. We're the island's only solar company, and so we've been really active in installing lots of solar for people here on the island, because we have really high expenses as far as electricity goes.
Right.
And there's a great rebate program that the town offers, $2,500 if you're a resident. So the finances are great, and people are. We're installing 6 systems like right now in the next month. So.
Do they still all have to go through the HDC?
They still have to go through the HDC, but we've developed a good relationship with the HDC, and they've been very understanding. We do a lot of ground-based systems and roof-based systems, so they're flexible and they're very understanding. I wouldn't say they're against solar, and I think it's a big myth that the HDC is against solar. I think they just want to make sure it fits in the character of Nantucket, and we do too. We want it to be sexy. So definitely, it is. So we got, we're out.
You can't tell me those solar panels that line the airport.
No, they're not. But if you came out to stroll, we had the smart flower out. It's beautiful. It opens up like a flower. We're installing lots of bifacial panels, so the light.
What does that mean?
So the light kind of comes through the panels. So they produce power on both sides of them. So we're looking at doing a lot of canopies with solar on them to kind of integrate onto the south side of houses. So. Integrating it into the architecture of the islands.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Politically, where are your interests?
Politically, where my interests are, always promoting, renewable energy on the island. I've been talking to a lot of folks about, kind of the dump and how we can kind of improve that. That was always one of my big concerns when I was on the board. That contract will end in the next 5 years, and so I think now is the perfect time to start planning about how do we really manage our waste in a very efficient way. And I think our new DPW director, Rob, has been doing a great job in starting that conversation with the community. And so, as far as like me running for something, I'm always thinking, maybe I'll run for selectman again, maybe not. We'll see. Maybe they'll run for a higher office or not. We'll see. But I've also been, really involved as far as a number of these offshore wind projects that are being developed. I'm working for a nonprofit called Vineyard Power that promotes partnerships between wind energy companies to provide like community-based benefits. So I've been working with them to develop a partnership between Nantucket, Martha's Vineyard, and Vineyard Wind, an offshore wind developer, because they're very community focused. and they want to bring a lot of benefits to the community.
With the benefit of hindsight now, do you think that apparently Cape Wind has given up, I just saw?
Yeah, so with the benefit of hindsight, I would say there's always a cost to going first.
Mm-hmm.
And, ultimately that project just the planning wasn't right in so many different ways. And so I think we're in a great position in Massachusetts, and especially Nantucket, to really benefit from the development of offshore winds.
Mm-hmm.
And, that Cape Wind didn't make sense. So we learned a lot as a community. Developers learned a lot how to make projects better. And so the new lease sites went through a 5-year planning process.
Mm-hmm.
Like, wind is going to be built south of Nantucket. It's just a question of, in 2 years or 3 years, and what developers first, what lease sites first. And ultimately, you have to really understand, like, that project was proposed 15 years ago. The technology
at least
has evolved so much since then. So, the efficiencies of the turbines now are so much greater than they were 15 years ago that it's not like a lot was lost.
They're no more beautiful, though.
Well,
they are. In a way, they're beautiful. I acknowledge that. But I think that,
Well, I think look at the high tides. Some of the high tides we're getting. They're getting really high, Dan. I think as Nantucketers, we should be concerned about. We talked about our downtown. Mm-hmm. We can't build like floodgates in the downtown. We can't like close up the harbor to protect the downtown. Mattocket, Hither Creek just opened up. Mm-hmm. We got to be part of the solution. So
I'm not arguing that point at all. I'm just saying that it's unfortunate that I think one of the raps that Cape Wind had was that they were destroying the visual beauty of and
so I think part of the process in developing the new lease sites is they are further offshore. Mm-hmm. You're not driving through them. There isn't boat traffic. Mm-hmm. There's less impact on birds. Right. There's less impact on fisheries. In this location. So it makes a lot of sense. And Vineyard Wind's been really positive and kind of working with Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket to trying to come up with a solution for frankly, our high electricity prices.
So where would you see yourself 15 years from now? 15
years from now, for me, it's always about being pragmatic.
Mm-hmm.
I've been very involved with the 3-mile buffer issue. I drafted a piece of legislation with Pete Kaiser. It's up at the State House. We're working on getting that through. So I'd love to see a buffer protecting Nantucket's fisheries from overfishing from draggers. I'd love to see the islands really adopt more renewables and move in a more positive direction. And I've always felt from a long time that just focusing on our economy just solely on tourism in the long run it's just not smart. You need to have some diversity. And I heard Alan talk earlier about online shopping and the changing economy. And for me, to be successful as a community and to be as successful as an individual, you need to lower your baseline costs, and renewables offer that. So as far as like where I want to be in 15 years, I just want to be smarter and be pragmatic about getting more things done.
How do you think Dylan Fernandez is doing as a state rep?
I think he's doing a great job. I talk to Dylan, maybe once a month or so, where we work on issues. We ran a campaign. He won. It was great. Like we agree a lot on a lot of things, and he's been really effective up there. He's been very communicative. He's very supportive. So I'm not planning on running against him this term. And I've told him that. So it's he's really trying. And I think that's important.
It is. I mean, he's our voice.
Yeah,
it's unfortunate we don't have our own voice, but he is our voice.
Yeah. And and also I would like to say that Julian Sear, our state senator, has been doing a lot to come out to Nantucket,
right,
and be really engaged on the island. Where Dan Wolf was always very supportive of Nantucket, but didn't necessarily spend a ton of time here.
Right.
And so that's been really positive. So I do think that we do have junior representation up at the State House, but I do think we have good representation up at the State House.
And before long, they won't be so junior.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so-
give it a year or two at this rate in
Well-
politics, and they'll be seniors. You never know.
The seniors are dropping like flies.
Exactly.
So, it's an interesting dynamic anyway in the whole political sphere, but we won't get into that.
No.
The fish market business is probably, because of the nature of what you're dealing with, is one of the few things where there isn't online competition.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Ultimately, it's been a struggle since my dad left. I'm not running the day-to-day operations. We have Sharon in there, who's been there for 15 years.
Right.
But my mom does the books. I take the scallop guts to the to the dump, and my sister Becky does the landscaping, and I do a lot of maintenance. So and my sister Carol and Amy both work in there as well, and so it's a family business.
Well, that's what it should be,
and it's one of the few that exists left, and we think it might be one of the oldest fish markets in New England. So the family-run fish markets. So. It's a great business. Come in and buy some fish. Support your local market.
We do. Yeah, unfortunately, the fish markets are all local.
Yeah. Well,
So
I think it's
that's the downside of who do you pick?
well, pick the one that's there year round.
Yeah.
And pick the one that's there that's convenient. We're right next to the Stop and Shop. Everybody goes their groceries for the Stop and Shop. We're right there. And I know the fish at the Stop and Shop isn't good just because of the smell. And people always say when they come to the fish market, "Oh, it smells great in here."
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it doesn't
No,
smell like
that's
fish.
true. That's true. That's true.
But,
Well, it's great to see you again. And,
nice to see you too, Dan.
As you move forward on some of these things, come back and tell us about them.
I will.
I especially want to hear what you're doing downtown.
I will. Well, I want to keep downtown functioning year round, so you need to invest in it, right?
Right?
Awesome. Well, thanks,
Very
Dan.
good, Tobias. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Happy holidays.
You too.